Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Hey yo, what is up, First Cut fan? Welcome back to First Cut Live. We are here to break down Ryan Coogler's new film, Sinners. We are doing a full spoiler review. Obviously, we're going to start off not spoiler out the top, but I am here with RB3 to break it all down. What is up, RB3? How you feeling, man?
Feeling good. For some reason, okay, OBS, you being funny because right now it's just showing still images of us. That's hilarious. Okay, give us 1 second, people. We are here. I literally had just tested this before we went on. And you're good now, Andres. Let me get myself straightened out. There we go. Now they're seeing our beautiful faces, non-jitter free. So, what's good, y'all? What's good? Happy to be back live.
Yes, sir. Now, obviously, this movie has been all the rage all weekend, all week, low-key, because a lot of people got to see this one early. RB3, before we get to anything else, man, we have to break this down spoiler-wise. But first, give me your non-spoiler review for Sinners.
Well, non-spoiler review. Well, first of all, gotta show love to everybody who I saw it with. Saw it with my lady. First of all, really stop the music. My light's not on. I told myself I was gonna turn this light on before we went live. So I'm gonna turn this light on after I answer this. But me and my first of all, my original invite to see Sinners came from my boy Dylan. He had got multiple tickets to watch Sinners in the IMAX 70 millimeter at AMC City Walk. That's what Dylan does, bro. Dylan always hooks up those tickets, like literally every time. So I was gonna do that again with Dylan and the crew. Unfortunately, though, the plan was for Thursday. I had something else that happened on Thursday, so I couldn't make that. But I still ended up sneaking some third row seats, so almost kind of like breaker territory. Tickets in for Sinners on Friday. Same theater, AMC City Walk. So I really got to see it in the 1:4:3 full aspect ratio. Really got to experience it. The way Ryan Coogler intended, from Oakland. You know what I'm saying? So it was, so for one, just the spectacle of it. Going out and making that pilgrimage to Hollywood with me, the homies, my lady, it was a great time. Honestly, the most black people I've seen in that IMAX theater, like ever. Like, it was like a lot of black people that came out. Right before the movie started, there was a white boy who was like 2 rows behind me, like right after the IMAX logo, right before the movie was going to start. He yells to the top of his lungs, like, "Let's ride!" Like it was maybe the top funniest moment I've ever had in movies. So yeah, great theater experience, dog. Theater was hyped. Seeing in the format was great. Yeah, it was a great movie. I only seen it once. So I feel like there's so much depth in this film that you have to evaluate after multiple viewings, So this is definitely more of like a preliminary kind of review / analysis of it for sure. But yeah, it was good. It was really great. It was like taking all the vampire cliches and little extra sprinkle of Black history, Black trauma in there. You know what I'm saying? So it did some good stuff. It was really, really, really profound. I mean, some ways I would say, I know some people, shout out to Spike Lee. He had an interview with, I think it was on Carmelo Anthony's pod, where he said this was like almost kind of like revolutionary cinema, like in a way. And I think in a way that it definitely applies, because it's definitely a lot of things in this movie we haven't seen done before, and it's brilliant for that. So,
yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Ryan Coogler's first original film. Obviously, he made Fruitvale Station, which is based on the true story of Oscar Grant. So it's a little bit slightly different. Obviously, this is a new endeavor into what he is actually used to. Ryan Coogler is known for making movies like Creed. He's known for making movies, obviously, Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. Really, really well-rounded director. He is still under 40, which is incredible. The amount of stuff he's accomplished under the age of 40. And this film, what I love about the film, man, is that it's a genre film through and through. This is a vampire film filled with comedy, filled with thrills, filled with epic moments, filled with heartbreak. But at the same time, it has so many intricate layers of commentary on a variety of themes that I feel like is absolutely beautiful. RB3, let's get right there. Right off the top, thematically wise, what was your, because there's so many, right? But what was your biggest theme heart that you took from the movie? What do you think this movie was attempting to communicate with all its vampire glory? But inside of that, what do you think that was the biggest theme that Ryan Coogler really wanted to communicate with Sinners?
I think there's a lot of things, right?
A lot, yeah.
Like you mentioned. I mean, and I think again, I only really saw it yesterday, so I really haven't like had a lot of time to like really think about it. But of course, like you know, biggest some of the biggest stuff, and of course, you talked about it in your review for Geeks of Color as well.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Go check that out.
So go check that out. I'll put the link to it in the description. I should put
Oh,
that in
dope.
right now.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and music is a big part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot about music, and music as a general extension of colonialism and how the black experience has had to not only be how the black experience not only has birthed a new musical landscape, but how frankly white people come in and try to put their own spin on it. You know what I'm saying? And colonize it the same way they colonize the culture the same way they colonize our land, our property, our freedom. So the vampires, of course, being an analogy for white people, of course. I mean, that's the whole get down of it. And I like that's a different kind of evil than the traditional Southern kind of racist, surface level Klansmen that we also kind of see have a confrontation in this film. So it is it kind of, even though it's set in the 1930s, and when we get into the spoiler part, we'll talk about how there's some other time distortions throughout the film. But even though it's mostly set in the 1930s, it kind of does a beautiful job of making this story feel ever present, like anywhere in time. It could take place in the 1800s. It could take place in 2020 with almost this exact same story, and still feel just as relevant.
Yeah, I feel like that's my biggest takeaway. Obviously, I made a review for it on Geeks of Color. There's so many layers to this movie, man. It's crazy. It absolutely blew my mind when it comes to how much commentary there is inside this movie. You can make an argument this movie is obviously about um, humanity, just in general. When it comes to sinners, the concept of right and wrong, good and evil, who determines that? How is that determined? The concept of religion is brought up a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Organized religion, Christianity, kind of the fabrication of where this spirituality stuff comes from. And it's hard for me not to get into spoiler territory now, so I just kind of want to say it. Let's just get to spoiler territory right off the top. Obviously, I'll trickle my way down to it and I'll get more specific. But for me, it's about the way in which we see who dictates what, and it is the colonizer who dictates what is good, what is required. I was watching a video just recently last night, and I feel like this is relevant, talking about who determines what is legal, what is right, what is law, what is the right of humanity to exist is always been a barrier of people that has been created and fabricated in order to fulfill the people up at the top. And I feel like this movie shows that exactly how it is. And that is expressed obviously through music and through culture, specifically, in my opinion. But that is shown in a myriad of ways throughout the entire movie. And I feel like that's the biggest running theme, the fact that this Irish vampire sees this his culture just be ripped away from him. From the music, his music to his land. He talks about losing his land to his religion. What's cool about this movie, man, is that if you know a little bit about Irish history, you know what that is, right? Because a lot of the folklore that we know, most of the folklore that we know is comes from Ireland. Goblins, fairies, all that stuff came from Ireland. Like they have some of the old school folklore, like ancient stuff that's been coming up like thousands and thousands of years ago. And that like stems a lot from Ireland. And yet Irish is known for being, hyper Christian, Catholic, religious, and it feels almost like a spit in the face of what old school Irish history really was. And that also kind of stems into African and how much stuff comes from Africa. The spirituality that comes from Africa, the music that comes from Africa, spawned music not only in America, in American music, but music worldwide. Latin music stemmed from Africa. And that's what a lot of people don't even know about as well. A lot of stuff that you hear worldwide stemmed from Africa. And I think that's really a big theme that comes into play inside the movie that Ryan Coogler explores so well, is that it's an exploration of maintaining yourself within your culture and not losing yourself to the white people, basically, or the white people in power. And I think that's a beautiful thing. What do you think about that, RB3?
Yeah, I definitely think, yeah. I mean, that's for sure a theme. I had peeped the Irish connection. I didn't really, think too deeply about that. But yeah, I didn't when you mentioned it, he's Irish. They also are stealing from Italian gangs. Like, we get kind of the backstory again, the spoiler territory. Shout out to all 5 people watching. We need them likes. We need to get in those in the comments, in the chats. Throw in your comments, throw in your thoughts on Sinners as you're watching live. Again, we have about 5 people watching and like no chats. We're doing good with likes. We got 5 people watching and 6 likes. I don't even know how it's possible. But hey, throwing your thoughts, throwing your Ryan Coogler takes, throwing your takes about Sinners. If you've seen it already, and if you haven't seen it already, let us know what your plans are. Now, in terms of, the Irish, because the stack, smokestack, the twins, they're stealing from both the Irish gangs and the Italian gangs, right? We kind of get that established pretty early on. And then as they're stealing from the Irish gangs, like, the Irish people, seemingly this Irish descendant vampire is like coming down and bestowing all of this hate and lingering generational stuff. It's kind of funny. I didn't put that together until you just mentioned it, though. The fact that, both Irish and Italian people are also immigrants to this country. You know what I'm saying? Like how, and if you go and research a lot of like American history as regarding Italians and Irish people, when they first came to America, they were treated like dog crap too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were dogged on. They were treated as second class citizens in some ways. Now, definitely not to the extent as Black people were, or Mexican or Latino or Latinx immigrants were. Definitely not to that extent, but they still had their trials and tribulations assimilating to this country too. So I like that they passed their pain on to the already constructed system of American racism and target this particular group, because they almost see themselves in a way like relating to the Black struggle. And you can almost see that when the 3 vampire whiteys came up and started fiddling with their song for a second, and very clearly like an homage. Like, yeah, this is, when you think of blues, that version of blues is usually what most people think of. They don't really know the heart and the essence and the soul of what blues music comes from. And it comes from characters like Delroy Lindo in this movie, who is, on the surface, like an alcoholic drunk who doesn't really seem like he's really there in the moment. But in reality, he's the most present. He's the most aware of his situation. And he's just trying to overcome the best of he can, because we learn what that brother's been through. He's been through the worst of it all. So yeah, it's deep. It's deep. There's layers, there's dimensions, there's characters that are fully fleshed out. There's romance, which is good. There's a lot of horniness. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of sexual talk. I'm like, whoa. This is one of Michael B. Jordan's first R-rated movies. Like, when you really think about it, like, he had that awkward moment back in 2012. But you really don't see Michael B. Jordan in a lot of R-rated movies. Ryan Coogler, same thing. Fruitvale Station was R-rated, but that's more of a human-centric biopic drama. Like, we're kind of seeing Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan kind of getting off the cuff and really, exploring kind of exploring they sexuality on screen a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's also interesting on that front.
Yeah, it's super fascinating the way that he's able to tackle so many different things, including like thematically, and including making it different from anything we've seen Ryan Coogler do before, in my opinion. Like you see similarities in there, but at the same time, you definitely feel him flexing his muscles and stuff that he hasn't done before. But yeah, kind of going back to your point, man, just because I want to finish up with that, because I do feel like that's the biggest thing in the movie, at least for me, is that idea. You're so right. I also thought of that. Not just the connection of the oppression that Ireland itself faced, the country, when it comes to the people who took over Ireland and the struggles that Ireland has had for years, and how they have been sort of a nation of resistance for such a long time. And they have been known for that. And most Irish people are known for that. But the idea of them being some of the first immigrants that ever immigrated to the United States, and how they were oppressed as immigrants coming to the United States, and how they were forced to assimilate in order to survive, and how they just basically stripped away all their culture, stripped away all their identity, and just became white people. And they just became part of the American white, country that we know. And that pain that comes with that, almost kind of this idea of like, why did we give up so much beauty and culture and folklore and love and community and fellowship, like Remick says a million times in the movie? And what has that given us, if not more hate? And we just pick another person to hate on, and we join in on that hate. That's why I like Remick, because Remick was like low key kind of spitting sometimes, and I was like, yeah, that's true. That's exactly what it is. And now he's kind of assimilated into that with a lot of resistance, and then from there it goes into kind of this culture vulture mentality, right? The siphoning off of culture, the siphoning off of stealing, basically, like you were saying before, when it comes to stealing blues music, stealing that to make rock and roll, and how white people stole rock and roll from black people, and how that's kind of the same idea as far as how blues turned into rock and roll, and blues turned into like basically every genre of music we know today when it comes to American music, and the idea that white people stole that, and they just take it. And the idea of a vampire known for being blood sucking, known for being strip everything away, leave you without a drop of blood. That concept of him trying to take that away from Sammy so that he can have that power and he can have that culture come to him. And so he can summon his own power in his own community based off that. So I thought that was super fascinating. The idea almost of like the flaws of assimilation, the idea of stripping your culture in order to feel like you can be a part of this supposed culture, but the only thing that comes out of it is hate, which is why we see the KKK at the end, and which is why the KKK is like a running theme throughout the whole movie when we see his nephews talking about it, and when we see the idea of the South being still a big hub for it. And it's this idea of like, what is that giving us if not more hate? And his kind of depression, which is why I like his theme too. His theme has like little Irish violins, and it's very sad. And it shows that idea of like what we lose when we steal culture and when we give up our own culture. And that's why I like Slim's little mini speech that he gives to Sammy, that is actually repeated at the end of the movie when Sammy chooses to pursue his music and his career in music. When he says like, "This is us. This comes from the motherland. This comes from us. This doesn't come from no church. This doesn't come from like anywhere else that you can claim to find it. Blues is us." And that's the running theme. It's like, keep your love of this music, because that is representative of us, of what we represent. Don't water it down. Don't try to assimilate into what is politically correct for, you know, good black people to do during this time,
Yeah.
which is what his father kind of represents.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned. I like that you mentioned the church part of it, because the church also, it's funny because the church is very ingrained in the black community, especially in our philosophical beliefs, especially in the way we represent ourselves, and super honestly, in super mythical, whatever, supernatural kind of characters and stuff like that. For a lot of times, black audiences, black people have been alienated from even seeing that side of the world because of like religion, of course. So it's like, and not to say that's a bad thing. There's a lot of good Southern people who I know who just, will never watch Harry Potter or never watch Lord of the Rings or never watch anything. But I like that this movie kind of explores like, the necessity of church, because at the end of the day, I think because I think, there's a way you could read this movie that's like anti-church, and I necessarily don't read it that way. I think there's a way you can read it because, of course, Sammy, defies his dad and, goes to the thing and obviously pays consequences and goes through all this demonic stuff. And you kind of see that as, okay, stay your black behind in church. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really how some people could read it. I read it as, this boy, because he was a preacher's son and because he had faith and because he was more innocent in his pursuit of just pure music, that's ultimately what lasted him out, not only to the end of the film, but all the way into 1992 when we meet him, like all the way at the future. And, I think that strong morality is what informed his decision of like, nah, I don't want to be no vamp. I don't want to defy, my preachings, my upbringing, my belief, and go to the demonic side and, sell my soul and live an eternal life as a vampire. Like, I'm deciding not to do that. So I think it does a good job of demonstrating both sides, demonstrating both sides of what, what am I trying to say? I guess it does a good job of having the church be an element and a strong central, because also too, music is a big part of the church as well. And I meant to say, that was what I was really trying to get at. I think the preacher's dad being more, or the dad who's the preacher being more alienating towards music is actually, kind of a detriment to the church, to his church. And yeah, throughout history, we've seen, I don't know how many musicians, singers, artists that derive from the church system end up becoming successful musicians and artists and singers and things like that. So yeah, it's like, classic, it's almost like a classic music biopic. Like if you've seen the James Brown biopic, the Tina Turner biopic, like all these other biopics that start off with the kid in the church and then the preacher being like, no, you're doing the devil's work. And then that person ends up becoming a big thing. This movie kind of embodied that a little bit too. And I like that, but it's also not a condemnation of, church either. So.
Yeah, there's a lot there, man. It's interesting. You could really, really dig deep into it, because I do think there's a lot of anti-religion stuff in there. Absolutely, because it really does feel like what do you gain, what do you lose when it comes to working inside that kind of system and that kind of ideology. So it's super fascinating, because at the end of the day, I forget her name. I think it's Annie or Anne, Smoke's wife.
Yeah.
She's her spirituality, weirdo voodoo stuff that everyone's hating on is actually the stuff that saves them. And nobody would know about that stuff if they were just, following the same religion that everyone else follows. She followed kind of her own. That was, rooted inside what she felt was her actual identity and real identity
and
real.
Is like the perfect example of like, Black people who are like not religious but spiritual. Like she is definitely more in the spiritual kind of camp. And and I love that this movie kind of puts that just on as equal of a valid footing, in terms of being able to overcome the situation. Because at the end of the day, homegirl, I think her name is Wazi. I don't know her last. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But to me, she was the biggest standout, like cast wise of it. She
Lovecraft Country, man.
I'm sorry.
Lovecraft Country, right?
Lovecraft
That's
Country.
what I know
Yeah,
from her.
you already know.
And Loki.
Oh yeah, that's right, Loki as well. But she killed it. I mean, she did an amazing job. Man, why does this? All right, sorry y'all. The camera keeps freezing on OBS for some reason. We are back again. There we go. She is phenomenal. Like she is just really, really great. And she's the one who kind of is leading the charge. Like she grabs the garlic, she grabs everything. Shout out to another. We kind of talk about cast a little bit too. Shout out to Jamie Lawson, who plays Preacher Boy's little girlfriend situation. She went out on a little night cheating or whatever. She had to step out from her husband, go out for a little spice, and she ultimately, you know, paid the price for that too. But shout out to Jamie Lawson. I actually have an interview with her. I'm linking all Geeks of Color stuff in the thing. This wasn't for Geeks of Color. This wasn't for Sinners. I actually interviewed her way back in the day for MLK and X. You know, when that show. Yeah, she was in MLK and X, and she was great in that show. And I even wrote in my review like, yo, she's great. She's definitely gonna be a star. You know what I'm saying? And when I saw her in this, I was like, yo, who was that? Like, she looked mad familiar. And then when the name popped up, I was like, yo, shout out her. So
crazy, bro. I was just about to tweet about her, bro.
Yeah.
Dead ass. Yeah. Because I legit, everyone's talking about Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld, oh my God, bro. I'm like, bro, have you seen her though? Did you see Jamie? Oh my God.
Yeah, she was
stunning, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie 10 times out of 10, bro. I'm picking her over any Haley Steinfeld, no offense. Yeah, that's just me. Either way, shout out to you.
Either way, also I'm still gonna shout out Haley Steinfeld too, because
she's
she was good. She was she was great. I mean, she was actually really good. And she doing a little Blackson in there for a second. I had to go. I was like, yo, Coogler, you stepping on sensitive lines here with this whole her being 1/8 black. Like, oh, my grandmama was half black kind of situation. I'm like, okay, you kind of
her grandma's husband, her grandma's dad, I think. I was like, is half black. I'm like, bro, what?
Right? Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah, that's
like 2%, bro.
Yeah, it's either I always get confused with that. It's either 1/8 or 1/16. Either way, it's like you're right on the line. You know what I'm saying? You definitely can't say N-word. Bro. Yeah, you can't say N-word. But I had to go. I was like, is this really Haley's? Like, what's her actual thing? And turns out she has the exact same ancestry. Her maternal grandfather is half black. So she actually is kind of fitting that role pretty good. And that was good. You know what I mean? She was good. She played this, you know, as revolutionary as this movie was in terms of the themes and the ancestral history and the music and the religion and all the big concepts. At the end of the day, it was like a vampire movie. Like, it very much had them genre conventions like built into it. And as soon as Haley Steinfeld stepped on screen, I'm like, okay, she's gonna be one of them. You know, like it's gonna be obvious that she's gonna pull one of them boys in. So you already knew what time it was, but
yeah, we should keep talking about the cast, but that's definitely something I want to get to. Is kind of like the humorous, like, horror aspect of it. It's like horror, but also horror, like horror. A very almost kind of like Dusk Till Dawn. I know someone said that before, so I'm not original saying that. But there's like a horror element that's also kind of like tongue in cheek, where it's very much like funny. And I can't lie, bro. Like, 90% of this movie is funny to me. It's like funny. Like, there's a lot of heart behind it, but when she turns and she's like, we're gonna be back for y'all, woo! And she runs away. Like, that was funny. And everything the vampires do, the couple vampires is hysterical. And I think it's edited that way. I don't think it's not meant to be hysterical. The way they like echo everything Remick says. He's like, we just love your voice. And she's like, beautiful voice, great voice. And like, that was awful. So awful. God darn awful. And it just keeps going and it cuts to them back. And I'm just like, what is this? They're meant to be kind of like over the top, like creepy, but funny. Every scene with him and Slim and Cornbread.
That Cornbread to me was the funniest character.
Cornbread is just all comedy.
No, it's pure comedy. Even the first scene when he comes up again, shout out again to the horniness of Coogler. Like like we first see him come in and then Smoke is like, I'm gonna pay you so good. Yeah, you might want to F you again. You know, she might even let you put your pecker in her mouth. he's like, whoa. And it goes to the wife and is like, well, how much you talking? That was crazy. And then when after Cornbread had made that turn and then was trying to like invite himself back in the house, it's like, what's wrong with you, Cornbread? And he's like, all we just need is a little kindness. Like, why can't we be kind to each other? I'm like, yo, you tripping. Like,
it was a straight up comedy at that point, bro. Yeah. Because the way it's edited, too. He's like, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And it's like, what are we supposed to be doing? Being kind.
Yeah, exactly.
And it cuts to like a wide shot. And I'm just like, what is this scene, bro? It's like pure, like, Shaun of the Dead. kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like an
Yeah,
Edgar Wright kind of comedy.
yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, like a really funny, like creepy but funny. Everything he said, and he's like, you know what? It be your own people, man.
Yeah.
Bro, this guy's crazy. And he's like, pay me my money. Pay me my. Everything he did was absolutely hysterical. Him and Slim were like comedy gold, man. It
Yeah.
really was like just absolute funny freaking movie.
Another funny scene, just kind of
Yeah,
riffing off the funnies. Shout out
yeah.
to the people in the chat. We got some people leaving some chats. I'm gonna read those in a second. Funny. That funny scene is when they all got in a circle and like was trying to get everybody to eat the garlic to test who's
Oh
a
yeah.
vampire. Kind of an homage to The Thing, the John Carpenter movie.
Oh, that's right.
But then like it gets to Jamie Lawson's character and she's like I really just don't like the taste. And then Michael B's like, eat the let's eat it right now. Come on. I was like,
Yeah,
that's very justifiable at that point. And then but how long she took to just eat the garlic. I'm like, are you sure you're not a vampire? Like, you good?
yeah.
And then the other homie, Delroy Lindo, is that Slim? Is that
Slim,
Slim?
yeah.
So and then he eats his garlic and he fakes like comforting, like as if he's
Yeah.
like dying. He's like, "Oh, my bad, y'all. It's the Irish beer. It's the Irish beer."
Yeah.
It's just pure. Yeah, I like that they have these little moments. They fit it, like, again, it fits into all of the vampire movie genre stereotypes, but then kind of either amplifies it by adding a new layer of drama and black, ancestry, black trauma, black generational, stuff into it, while also adding another like layer of comedy to it. So it really, another thing I'm going back to the Spike example, because I feel like that's one of the more relevant reviews that I've seen that kind of encapsulate a lot of what I feel about it. This film really doesn't have a particular genre. Like, this film is almost kind of genreless in a way. Like, it's kind of horror, but it's also kind of Western. It's kind of an old school gangster movie. It's kind of comedy, but it's also kind of getting into the heavy real life drama that Black people have been through. And it's like, they handle they interweave all of these different genres so well that it's like, it is like revolutionary. It is like genre defining. And, in some ways, it's kind of like a Kendrick Lamar. I'm a big Kendrick fan, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a Kendrick Lamar album in the fact that there are completely weird, original, and unique things that are happening, but also it's massively commercial friendly as well too. So it's dope. It's a dope film.
It's like exactly what you said, man. That's a perfect way to describe it, because it's like one of those things where, like, if you know, but if you don't know, you still have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know about like Irish history and stuff and Irish history of music, you get the references of like stolen land, stolen music, stolen culture, stolen folklore, and how the Irish are connected to Black people in that way. When it comes to their spirituality and their folklore and their music and their culture being stolen as well. But if you don't know, you still have fun with it. It's very deep that way, but it's also very accessible that way, and audiences are able to access it and still have fun with it. But you haven't mentioned another genre too, musical. The way this movie does musical numbers is very much like we are doing a musical number for 5 minutes, and it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be awesome, and you're gonna love it. And I did all three musical numbers that I was in the movie. I really enjoyed. What do you think about that aspect, the musical aspect of it? Whether it's Sammy or anyone else in the film that does a musical number. Let's talk about his first, actually.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the main one that matters. That's the one that's like the surreal montage situation. Yeah. I mean, that's brilliant. I will be honest, when that sequence started, I was very like, whoa, what's happening? I don't know if I like this. Like,
me too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Is that Andre 3000 playing the guitar?
Was that really Andre? That was Andre 3000. I was like, oh, no. It was I was really like kind of like I don't know how I feel about this. And then they went further into it. The 808 started popping in a little bit. Of Oakland started popping in. You know what I'm saying? We see the girls. The electric guitar. I was like, I don't know. We see the homegirls twerking. I was like, I don't know. And then, we start seeing like the African dancers come in, and like I'm like, oh, so it's connecting like the past and the present and the future. And then it goes into, of course, like I got show love to Cali. Homie started sea walking, like
Yeah, I
right.
saw
And
that.
if you go back and listen to the score, they have a little bit of that. I forget which Snoop Dogg song it was, but they sampled a
Yeah,
little bit
it's
of
the
that.
one,
Two,
two,
three
three
into
into
the
the
four.
four.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yep, I heard
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. So they sampled after. I'm like, yo, this is really so
yeah,
it is it's taking it. And if people aren't smart enough to get that reference or get what that scene is trying to communicate, it's like, yeah, this is what Black music is. It all comes from the shared collective experience of cultural, awareness. And it's brilliantly framed, it's brilliantly shot, like the whole one take of it all. We know Ryan Coogler loves a one take, like loves a big oneer. So that whole framing of it was great. The party aspect of it was great. Like the surrealness of it, of seeing this spot just kind of fully get literally, he like blows the roof off. Like he's singing so good, he like sets the place on fire, literally. So it was just dope. It was dope. I throw this picture on screen right here. I don't know if y'all saw. I saw somebody on Twitter mention this, but it's Ryan Coogler literally recreated this painting in real life, or sorry, recreated this painting on film with Sinners. And it's kind of true, because if people don't know this, this artwork, this like a famous piece of Black artwork that you see in like all the grandmother's house. What's significant about this painting is that if you look closely, the people in the painting are wearing different clothes from like different time periods. So this painting is actually really, it's showing Black people dancing and partying and all that stuff too. But it also shows a distortion in time. Like they're partying from all different generations. Like this was painted in the 60s, so we only see really up until the 60s, but that's kind of the whole thing that Coogler was doing. He kind of brought that multi-generational connection from everywhere. And I love that we saw not just the Black ancestry, we saw the Chinese folks, have their history represented in that too. We got to see, we even saw a little Native American representation in there, which, Black people and Native Americans, like that's a strong ancestral connection we've had like for multiple generations. So yeah, that was top tier. And the score for it, of course, was crazy. Like that, like me and my girlfriend Jason, we was listening to it, listening to the score, on the way back home. And it was great. It was, stuff is bumping. It's a nice little ukulele, like kind of banjo kind of vibe all the way through, and it's great. Ludwig killed it. But that particular sequence is like really the standout overall.
yeah, it really is. And you're right. At first, it takes a second because it kind of jars you out of the movie. I even wrote in my review, like it's jarring. It makes you feel like, whoa, 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 what is this? Like, what kind of movie is this now? Because it doesn't feel like it's linear to the film itself. But then, like you said, when it connects the past, the present, it shows you that it shows you just how much emphasis culture has hand in hand with music, and how much music is culture and culture is music, and how much Black people just made so much music and culture, all the way from ancient Africa to current times. That's what people don't know. But also, like you said, connected to the Chinese culture, and connecting to your culture is one of the best ways to connect to your culture is music, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Whether it is modern music or whether it is old school music, it really is that kind of beautiful linear line that connects you past generations of your own family. And losing that culture, which is what Remick is. I think Remick is like bitter about losing it. He's like, why do I have to be like this stupid ass Southern white guy, that I have to play this role of this stupid ass Southern white guy? I want to be this epic Irish dancer, singer, who can like dance and go off with the best of them. But they're making me be this plain ass, dirty ass, racist white guy in the South. And I'm like, I hate it. I hate it. I want that. I want real culture. I want real power. And that's what Sammy has, because he's able to call his ancestors and do that stuff. Something that Remick is unable to do, even though he has a lot of culture and a lot of power with him, but he's not able to pierce the veil the way Sammy is. So I think that's kind of what that represents too. It's like, don't lose that. Don't lose your culture. Don't water yourself down in order to fit in. Because that's kind of what Sammy's trying to do. He's trying to stay with himself. So it's really cool, man. That scene was really cool. It really was. And I loved what it represented. We got to go. I mentioned it, but we just got to do it, man. I can't lie. I lost my mind. Obviously, with that scene, but remix Irish dance, bro. I was like, yo, this shit
Yeah.
is lit.
Yeah, no, he was going stupid. He was going
And
stupid.
the way the crowd, the vampire crowd, was hyping him up, I was like, yeah. No, when he started singing, I was like, all right, this is dope. And then he
Yeah.
started dancing, and it's like, and I was like, bro, oh
And he was going
shit,
crazy.
oh
You see Michael B. Jordan in the
shit.
background, like,
He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And what's
yeah.
his face? Cornbread.
Yeah, yeah, he was
He was
like
like,
kind of going up. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I was like,
Yeah.
bro. But then at the end, it turns almost into like a like what's it called? Like a church experience, right? Like
Mm.
a
I would,
revitalizer
yeah,
kind of experience.
it's funny. It's like church. I almost thought of it like as like a river dance, like a Native
Oh,
American
yeah, yeah,
river
yeah.
dance. You know what I'm
That's
saying? In
true.
terms of like,
But when they
especially,
started putting hands on him and going like that and going
oh
like,
yeah,
I was like, oh, this feels like, they're praising and
mm,
almost kind of like the Holy Spirit thing, and everyone's
right.
going nuts. And I was like, this is cool, bro. This is cool. It was really cool.
Yeah,
So
no, it was deep. It was deep. First
it
of
was
all,
deep.
I gotta shout out some of the good people in the comments.
Yeah.
Speaking on the Remick side of it, Nike Me says Remick is a victim of forced angularization
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Irish of Ireland. However, also a settler on Native American, or sorry, on Indigenous American land, and through that violently attempts to exploit a black man's music to reach his kin again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
it's
Yeah.
like it's right on the money. Like,
Yep.
and then Kevin Davis says Sinners budget $90 million plus mark. Kevin Davis always comes in talking about numbers, dog. It's not about the numbers, but I will come back to this point though. Sinners budget is 90 million plus marketing, 40 million domestic debut isn't strong at all. International audiences are going to give this film a chance at the box office. I just don't agree. I don't agree. The way the excitement was when I saw it last night, like the way people are talking about, like not even look. There's always cinephiles who get excited about movies and want to go out and
Yep.
see something. You know what I'm saying? Like with Sinners, there are people who I haven't spoke. I just barely speak to, like not that frequently. You know what I'm saying? Like, or not frequently, but like basically general movie people, like general movie goers, were like over the moon excited for this. Like when I saw it last night in the IMAX 70 millimeter, beyond sold out, So, yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy turnout, crazy kind of vibe, And I think that in the same way that Black Panther kind of touched a piece of the culture in a way that is never going to be replicated again. I feel like this movie's kind of like leaning into that a little bit too. Like I think it's an original movie, so it's not gonna like open big, but I think the legs on it's gonna be great. You can already see it has an A cinema score already, which is crazy for a horror movie. Normally horror movies are like C minus D. Has like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, even with the fan score. And by the way, we're living in the age of like anti wokeness, like, and all of the anti woke people get all
Just blatant racism
yeah,
now.
just yeah, straight up racist. But to be honest, all the anti woke critics like Flickinger, John Flickinger, Jeremy Johns, like all these people I've been seeing going crazy, going stupid with their reviews, and like they're raving about it. So I think this movie is a hit with it's a hit with everybody. It's gonna especially be a hit with the Black community, and then as an extension, is gonna revert just like how Black music is right. That it's gonna be revolutionary with Black people, and then expand, and expand into the white audience and white territory in no time soon. I think this is gonna be an amazing hold. I think it's gonna be a good testament to like the longevity of the box office that this movie's gonna have.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. You hit it on the head. I was kind of getting to it when I went like this because I was saying legs, man. That's it might not open great. It might be a decent or half decent opening. But the legs of this movie is really what's going to sustain it, and I think it's going to have the strong ass legs
Mm.
to really sustain it. So before we get anywhere else, man, because I just don't want to forget, Michael B. Jordan plays twins in this movie. What do you think of this smokestack twins?
Smokestacks, yeah, they're
Yeah,
great.
what do you think?
Yeah, they're great. I mean, it's always funny seeing like a movie. You have like a movie or concept in your head for a minute, and you finally shoot it and direct it. And then just like every other popular movie has that. Of course, I had Urban Space Cowboy. Like I had wrote last year and was trying to get made all last year, and then like that movie has one actor playing two parts. my short film has one actor playing two parts. And now I get into 2025. I think it's a revolutionary idea. I think it's a revolutionary idea last year. I get into 2025 and doggone every other movie got two actors in it. Like, come on, man. Mickey 17, this. What's that other one? The monkey? Like, it's like this keeps happening again and again. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Besides that, besides my internal pettiness. No, he was great. I mean, playing those two characters, I love that they're actually two people who are pretty distinct, like very distinct overall. Like, you know, the Smoke character who is with Haley, you know, definitely more suave, more like Stack is the one that is with Haley. Okay, and the Smoke is the one who's the soldier. So, you know, very much like kind of like I said, horn dog, you know what I'm saying? Kind of trying to be a charming, like ladies guy kind of dude, you know, very much in the world of like sin kind of thing. Versus Smoke is much more of like a reserved soldier who's trying to live his life the right way, live his life, you know, in a much more productive, positive way, but also just a strong like enforcer. So I like that dynamic. I like that. You can very clearly, again, I got their names mixed up, but like you can very clearly tell which one was which, even when they were together. Like you can kind of tell just by their energy. I thought that was dope, and I thought, you know, by the end of it, you know, my man Smoke, he went through a lot. You know what I'm saying? He watched his wife get, you know, his not even his wife, but like his lady, homegirl from Lovecraft Country gets bitten up. Like he was trying to save her. You know, he ends up losing his brother, like, you know, pretty early on, and ends up seeing him transform into that. Yeah, it was like that character, you know, that twin went through the most. The Stack character definitely was just more like fun. Like he was like listening in on the cousin, like having, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, good contrast. And Michael B. Jordan killed it. I mean, I made fun of Michael B. Jordan for years, but
yes.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, as a Michael B. Jordan hater.
Yeah, no. This is where the face acting really comes into play because
that's right. Face acting.
Two different
this,
faces. Yeah, you two different faces. So, you know, again, Coogler, good director is gonna know what to do with the actors, and Coogler knew, like, let me make sure I'm framing this dude the right way for these dual parts. So
that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. The fact that, especially Stack, I feel like Stack is a saving grace, because if he was just Smoke, I feel like, ooh, he would struggle.
Right.
But the fact that he gets to play it up, make it more levity, a little lighter with Stack, and make him funny and make him goofy and, like you said, horny and all that stuff, like it really helps Michael B. Jordan as an actor as well. So shout out to him, man. Shout out to Stack. He made it to the end, bro. What'd you think of that post-credit scene?
Yeah, that was yeah. Well, yeah, mid credit scene. Point, I was like, you know,
bro, when he walked in, my theater laughed so hard when
right,
he had
the 90s, the flat top, yeah, the very cheesy like tracksuit, and like Haley came in looking very 90s. That's the one thing I'm like, they kind of lean too heavy into like the 90s,
like comedically heavy.
Yeah, like, yo, this is kind of.
I think they did it to be funny. I don't know. I think Brian did it to be funny.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Like, and I think
he looked like Fresh Prince, like
no, straight, like literally, bro, straight up.
They laughed so hard when he put the money on the table. My audience did, and it had Stack written on his hands with the brass knuckles.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what the?
Low key, that's a Spike Lee reference. You know what I'm saying? The love and hate, the brass rings. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that too. That was funny as well. Yeah, that was great. And you know, I think I thought, you know, when they said 2 post-credit scenes, I was rolling my eyes. I was like, yo, I thought this was an original movie. Why are we getting like a franchise set up? I was half expecting like Nick Fury to come out. And thankfully the whole scene wasn't that. Like, it was more of a emotional conclusion to the Sammy story. It is kind of, in a way, setting up like a sequel or more installments down the line. Because you could definitely see Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld being like a vampire team through multiple eras and stuff like that. And I could see that happening. That being said, though, you know, I thought seeing the old man Sammy playing the blues, I don't know who the actor they got to do that part was.
I think that's a real blues singer, like an old school like blues singer.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
No, that was amazing. And then that was a beautiful scene. That was a beautiful scene for him. And again, going full circle into not wanting to choose that vampire lifestyle. Like, they told him, like, yo, we know you sick. We give you eternal life. And he's like, nah, that's not me. Again, going down to that firm moral conviction that he's always had throughout. So I thought that was dope. I thought that scene was dope. And the second post credit scene was just literally the young version of the character. Shout out to Miles. I think Miles Canton.
Kenton, yeah.
Miles Canton. Phenomenal. This is his debut role. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really great stuff. I mean, amazing singer, amazing performer, and even the acting was like, really, really solid too. So,
Yep.
and just I like that the last scene of this movie is just a showcase moment to let this character really let this actor really highlight his singing ability. So, blew the door off again. I saw it in IMAX. I don't know if you saw it in IMAX,
I
Andres.
did, yeah.
Yeah, so really brilliant
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, no, it was great, man. And I love that. It's not really a mid-credit scene or even a post-credit scene. To me, it's more like a continuation of the film itself, the film's ending.
Hmm.
Because like you said, the credits roll in the middle of him playing, and then it just kind of plays that scene. I don't know, man. I loved it because for me, I saw it a second time. And for me, it's like you don't get those moments and those shots without that scene where he
Yeah.
says like, "What'd you think about that day, man?" And he's like, "Oh, that day was beautiful, man. We had this," and then it shows it,
Hmm.
and it actually shows the Chinese couple bring the boxes over and start hanging out and laughing, and it's that kind of stuff was like, oh, okay, we low key kind of needed this.
Hmm.
Um, because you don't see the beauty of the movie as much as just the death and carnage and comedy, but we needed a tiny bit more of a lighter, happier note. And I feel like Ryan kind of felt that where he's just like, it's a little too sour. I just need a little bit of light and levity and a little bit of heart. And
Hmm.
that's what that scene gave when it came to Sammy's role. Because it kind of makes you think like maybe he's gonna die. I don't know, he's gonna get bitten or turned.
Right.
Um, but it turned it into like a happy moment where Stack is like this evil vampire, but he still has a tiny bit of heart in there
Right.
um, that he can kind of take on in case there's a spin-off movie or something.
Hmm.
Him in the 90s or him in the present
Hmm.
with Haley Steinfeld, which I could totally see if that's what they want. And I think he just did it there just in case, but also like it fits in the movie.
Yeah, it fits. It fits. At the same
Yeah.
time, though, I definitely think this is setting up for a franchise, especially
Yeah.
knowing the logistics behind Ryan Coogler's deal. Like, apparently,
Yeah, we got to talk about that. I actually had that in my notes. The
yeah,
25-year rights revert back to him, right?
yeah,
Talk to me about that.
yeah. So this is a deal that's really like unheard of in
Yeah,
filmmaking history. Only person who's had this deal previously was Quentin Tarantino when he
that's right.
did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Mhm.
which again you can see Tarantino's writing that movie to the sunset too, with the new Netflix sequel they got. But yeah, I think with Coogler, he for second director ever to have their production, the rights revert back to him after it's done. After that 25 years is over, he also gets first dollar grosses on the
That's
film.
right.
So even a lot of these Hollywood accountants will say you get net profit, which is like the profit after they or the
After you
points
make the
after
money
you
back.
make money back, yeah, after
Yeah.
profitability. And a lot of times these studios find ways to rig it to where they say the movie's not profitable. Oh, you're not gonna get paid. With this, he's actually getting money directly from the box office receipts that this movie's gonna make. And
Hmm.
I think that's low key why we've seen him be so active on the promotional trail. Like I've never really seen a
True.
director
True.
hit the promotional campaign like this. Like he did that great video with Kodak where he was like doing
Hmm.
the describing the aspect ratios. He's been on mad interviews. He was on the All the Smoke podcast. He was on like mad different shows. And then
These are
he's
like radio, Bay Area radio,
yeah. He's
podcasts.
on Straw Hat Goofy's
Oh
podcast.
my God, bro.
Yeah, I'm like yo, they going every come to First Cut, Coogler, my man's.
Bruh.
Come down
I
to
saw
First
that and
Cut.
I was like, bro, whoa.
You know,
What is this
sure.
world, bro?
Yeah, Juju getting it, man. Juju getting that money, but yeah, nah. Hey, look, hey, but it's good seeing that a director he's becoming a household name. Like we're truly seeing another household name director being formed right in front of our eyes. I peeped the Christopher Nolan special thanks at the end of the film. I definitely felt a little bit of Oppenheimer influence in this film, particularly the editing, the flash edits that they would kind of do throughout the film, kind of felt very Oppenheimer in a way. But I do think he's headed. I think we're gonna see Coogler headed to that household name, being that guy that's like a Christopher Nolan, that's like a Jordan Peele, that's like a and in some ways like a Spike Lee, even though
Denny or
Denny,
Spike? Yeah, Spike.
yeah, more Denny because Spike, unfortunately, Spike has such a reputation. It's hard to sell movies with like a Spike Lee name. But you see like a Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, Jordan Peele, like these are all names that like you're almost certified to get into, you know, loving their movies. And I think this is he's just showing that he's going to be in that tier.
Real quick, everything you're saying is true, and I know we got to go, but real quick, you mentioned the editing. I got to talk about the editing, and then I'll end by briefly talking about the music. But real quick, editing. What do you think of the editing?
Editing was great.
Really like it's apparent as shit, bro. That editing is not subtle.
Yeah, editing is great. I mean, there is like definitely one or two scenes. I could get real nitpicking, you know, say some scenes that I was like, this is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like there was one scene where I think it was either Smoke or Stack. One of the twins was talking to another character, and literally every line of dialogue was like a different shot. I'm like, like what?
That's the scene I'm talking. That's the scene where I was like, what are you doing, bro? And then like it would be like, what did he say? And then it would cut to Haley being like, and I think that you should do this. And then it cuts to the other twin talking to Haley, and he's like, well, why would we do that? And you think he's talking to another character. It was like a lot. And I was like, bro, I don't know. This is bold editing. I've never seen this kind of editing. It's almost too much.
That was bold. And I think, you know, it's funny. It's so funny. I think they have mentioned that one of the influences was like anime. I think they mentioned like there was like anime influences in this. And I definitely feel like that sequence in particular was like a very anime inspired. Like we're going to cut to this, cut to that, kind of like distort the time a little bit. And it's all going to the distortion of time through the musical montage sequence, distortion of time through the editing. It was great. I thought it was interesting. That scene in particular, I'm gonna have to watch back and like really determine if I like it or if I didn't like it. But because
at first I was like, I don't like this at all, bro. It's going way too like literally one sentence cut, another sentence cut, another sentence cut, like in the middle of dialogue. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, that was the one scene. But the other tiny editing kind of critique I have too is that, you know, the movie jumps into the action sequence like so quick, you know, like it's kind of, I guess it kind of builds to that, but then as soon as the Chinese lady screams, by the way, we didn't talk about the Chinese theme, you know, Chinese and black connection through that, you know, that's based on real history. We ain't got time to go into all that, but that's based on real history.
Shout out Bo Chow. I remember the guy's name, Bo Chow. And Grace. Grace
as well, yeah. And then, but yeah, exactly when Grace went and screamed like, come in here, mother effers, da, da, da. And then like immediately, it's like almost immediately like we get into the action. I'm like, whoa, dang. I kind of wish I wish we just had a little bit of a moment to like settle in there. But otherwise, great film. 2 hours and 17 minutes. Can't be mad at that runtime. That's a golden runtime. And it didn't feel too long, didn't feel too short. That was right on the money there. So
I agree with that. Last thing real quick. Ludwig Göransson never misses, bro. He never misses. I love the score. I love how it's like the first half is very blues, very banjo, a lot of guitar. It's rooted inside that moment and that time. And then the vampire stuff, as soon as we get to that, we get to like grunge rock straight up. And I just thought, like literally with the drum cymbals, to the point now where it's like, it was so over the top. And I'm talking about the score. The score was so over the top, and I was losing my mind. I was like, "This is insane." Where would you hear like, and I was like, "There's like a guitar solo and rock going on." What movie are we in, bro? What movie? We just transported to a new movie. What'd you think of the score?
Yeah, score was great. Score was 10 out of 10. I mean, you can't ask for no better. Shout out to again the crowd was wild like at AMC City Walk because for one they clapped during almost every trailer. And then when they, you know, of course, like during I love interaction during the movie. So during the movie, people was turned up. That was great. But during the credits, they were like clapping hard for like particular people. Like when Louis came on, you just see mad people like, yeah, Louis, yeah, like whoa, like he really got a fan base. And then even like literally like I guess maybe people from the IMAX company might have been there because they started rolling the IMAX credits and people started clapping. But yeah, the score was incredible. Also, real quick, got to shout out the cinematography. But really, all the technical aspects, cinematography from Autumn, I forget her full name.
Yeah, me too.
Cinematography was really 10 out of 10. I mean, going from the 2.76 by 1 aspect ratio with the super wide angle to the big IMAX framing, it was all phenomenal. It was all gorgeous. It all felt like a very scenic painting, a gorgeous painting that we were watching all the way through and through. That's also contribution to the production design from the great Academy Award-winning Hannah Bleacher, who was on Wakanda Forever. Costume design.
And the costume from
from the Oscar
Ruth.
great Ruthie Carter. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like we, you know, really all legends, a lot of Black women behind the camera who really help bring this story to the forefront. You know, from the cinematography, production design, and costume design, like those are some of the biggest elements you see on screen, and they all stood out. I think, you know, this movie's a contender in all of those elements, cinematography especially, but also the editing, the production design, and the score, all of that. Like, I could see this movie winning multiple Oscars.
All right, guys, those were our thoughts